How are you doing on this one?
I don't really know how to solve this one.
Okay, and that's fair. Um, a lot of the questions you're going to see are going to have a lot of text to go along with them. Not all of
Mhm.
them, but the ones that most students struggle with are this. So let me give you a simpler version of this question and just see if you're comfortable doing this. Let's say I tell you that an equals -1 to the power of n times a sub n minus 1. And let's say that A2 equals 10. Can you tell me the value of A3 based on this information? Let's see if this is clear or not.
I don't really know.
Okay, so these numbers here, they're called subscripts. So
Mhm.
let's say we let n equal 3, okay, for example, and that means that an is A3. Is that clear? I'm just replacing the value of n with 3.
Mhm.
That means it's -1 to the power of 3 times A3 minus 1, subscript 3 minus 1. So you can actually evaluate the subscripts, uh, meaning that you just subtract there. So it's A2. And then do we know the value of A2? Yes. Okay.
Mhm.
So let's say, so A3 is -1 to the power of 3 times 10. What is -1 to the power of 3? Can you tell me?
Um, -1.
-1. So this ends up being -11. Okay. So just as you at some point have studied sequences, I believe, and the first
Mhm.
kind you studied were recursive, which is what I showed you here. The second kind were arithmetic, and then the third
Mhm.
kind were geometric. And so the subscripts are used in this sort of this type of setting here. Okay, so I promise you've seen this, but maybe we're uncomfortable. Let's try one more here. Let's just make up another one here. Let's say that an plus 1 equals -1 to the n times a sub n plus 3. And let's say that A4 equals -12. Can you figure out the value of A5? So give this a try, please. How are you doing on this one?
A little better than the last one.
Okay. Do you have a final answer for me?
Um, um, negative 53.
You said negative 53.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think it's right.
Okay. So the value of n this time is 4 because we want to find a sub 5. And that means that it's 4 plus 1. So n is 4 this time. So
Mhm.
it's minus 1 to the power of 4 times negative 12 plus 3. So negative 1 to the power of 4 order of operations, you do that first. That's 1 times negative 12 plus 3. And so your answer is negative 12 plus 3, or negative 9.
Okay.
Okay, so let's do a clean slate here. As a reminder, SAT, ACT stuff is not like stuff you've learned in the classroom. But it does start with a skill that you did learn in the classroom. So for the next problem, I'm actually going to show you the skill first, and then see if you can work the problem that way. So direct variation, you saw this at some point in one of your classes, y equals kx. Hopefully that does look familiar
Mhm.
to you. So the way direct variation works is you're generally given an x and a y. So for example, I might say that when x is 12, y is 36. And the first thing you do is you solve for k. Now you could literally solve for k. You could say, okay, Matthew, like divide both sides by x, and k is y divided by x. Yes, that is true. Okay. But what most students do is they actually substitute the numbers in first. So when you solve for k, they're putting in 36 for y and 12 for x. And then you're solving for k by doing the same thing, but this time there are numbers around. So do you remember doing that in class at some point?
Yeah.
Okay. So then this value goes back into the original. So like if we were making a recipe, step 2 would be to write the direct variation equation.
Mhm.
Okay. So the direct variation equation would be y equals 3x. Okay. And then from here, you would use this equation in some way. Like I would give you a y to find an x, or an x to find a y.
Mhm.
So if that was clear, let's have you try one. Okay. Let's try an example here. So y equals kx if x equals 5 and y equals, let's make this a little more complicated. Well, actually we can't. We'll just start here. Let's say y is 65. Could you determine the value of k for me, please?
K equals 13.
Yes, K is 13. Very good. Okay. So now, unfortunately, when you do these problems on standardized tests, is you're not going to get the nice numbers that we tend to be working with. You'll get something like if X equals 1/2 and Y equals 1/4, can you determine the value of K? The process though is identical. You will write the equation and you'll substitute the values and you still have to solve for K. So you still in some ways are dividing by a half, dividing by a half. Okay, but this is where it's like, well, what do you do here? And that's I guess my challenge to you is how do you handle that? If you know.
How to simplify the left side? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Reduced as an inches and half.
So 1/4 divided by 1/2 is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal, which is 1/2. Yes. So K in this case is 1/2. Okay. So the thing though is once you find the value of K, you're not done. So in another example we might do here, I might tell you that when Y is 3, X is 9, and then the question would say, what is the value of Y when X equals 27? So what is implied in this question is you have to write the direct variation equation. You have to write this equation because it would say it somewhere. It would actually say the word direct or directly, or might even say direct variation.
Mhm.
But you have to know to first solve for K. Okay. And then rewrite the equation and then use this value here.
Mhm.
So could you use these two values and solve for K, please?
K equals 1/3.
K is 1/3. Perfect. Okay. So now you write your equation. You say, okay, it's 1/3 X. All right. And then you use this value of X to solve for Y.
Y equals 9.
Y equals 9. Perfect. Okay. So in truth though, you're never going to get a question like one that I just gave you. They're never going to be this, I hate using this word now, direct. And when I say direct, I mean they're very explicit. They're saying like step 1, step 2, step 3. Like you as a student have to interpret that. So I'm gonna put a new question in front of you, and the question. And I'm telling you this now because it is relevant. This is based on what we just did. So go until about 127 and see if you can work on this problem here for me, please. See if you can come up with the right answer. Okay, how are you doing on this one?
I'm a little confused.
Okay. Yeah, so that I was trying to make it so that if you knew, because there's only one word in here that actually tells you right here. See how they're directly related, direct variation.
Mhm.
It it's not that easy to figure out if you're not clued into that. But there's a lot of words. But actually, the only thing you need in this problem is this number, and this number right here.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of extra, which we can get into as a test taking strategy as well. But if I tell you y equals kx, well, you already know that. Well, we got to figure out what is y and what is x. So it says that Croatia is directly related to the frequencies in South Korea. So we'll use S for South Korea. And so they give you Croatia and they give you South Korea. So can you solve for K in this example?
Oh, okay. So I did it right in the first half. So I
Oh,
got
good. That's great. What did you get for K?
for K I got 3.
It's one third, one third.
Oh yeah. Okay, 1/3. Oops.
Yeah. And that's really important because the if you get 3, none of the answers are there. If this were a free response question and you didn't have the answers, then you would have no way to know. But yeah, so C equals 1/3 times S. And is the 2.13, is it the S or is it the C? So it looks to me like it's the South Korea.
Yeah.
So it's 1/3 of 2.13. And this is a no calculator question or practice exam. So, you may be tempted to go and grab it and try to work it out, but on the test, you may not have it. The numbers are workable. Believe it or not, 2.13 does divide nicely by a third.
Mhm.
So how are you doing on the rest of the SAT besides the math? Are you doing well on the written parts, on the other sections? How would you say you're doing?
Uh, it's my
I didn't.
language is really good.
You're doing well in language. Okay. So for example, reading this is not there's no issues reading and comprehending this.
No.
That's good to hear. Most of the questions we're going to work on are longer in their prompt in the section, the
Mhm.
writing section, because they're designed to be intentionally like frustrating because there's so much there. Um, so do you feel like you could do another question like this right now, since you sort of see the recipe, the steps here? You write the equation, you put in the numbers, solve for K, and then evaluate it.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. We definitely want that. All right, well, let's take a look. Let's do so was it better for you to see I don't know, the algebra, algebra before the problem, or is it better to see it after it for you?
I think seeing it is a little bit more helpful.
Say that one more time. I didn't catch that.
Um,
I'm so sorry. It feels like it's cutting in and out a little bit. Did you like the way we did question 1 or
um,
the way we did question 2?
seeing it after is a little bit more helpful.
Okay, so let's look at another question here. And this question, there is actually very little algebra needed, but and you'll see that here when I present it. And that is the case in some of these questions, is they're very heavy on words, but very light on actual. So I guess give this a try. This is what you want to see the question first, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go to 135, and let's see if you can work this out on your own, please.
Okay.
How are you doing on this one?
Not very well.
Okay. Well, let me point out that if you look at the last question first, this is another one of those which of the following, which is very common in standardized tests and a lot of university exams nowadays. But they're kind of cluing you in here. N as a function of P. And if you recall, Y is a function of X. And that helps to tell you which is the X and the Y. So the one thing you could do for sure is get rid of this answer, because it doesn't have the right notation. So can you identify an N and a P in this? And you may find it's easier to start from here rather than all the way from the beginning.
Okay. I think I disconnected
Yeah,
for just a second.
Yep. I see you're back. So what I was asking you to do is to just look at kind of this second half of the question here, the prompt, and see if you see a price and a number of passengers.
I can see.
So for example, when n is 100, what is the price? You see that the price is $6.75.
Mhm.
Great. Oop, you're out again. Hey, Julia. Let me know when you're back.
I don't know why it keeps.
Yeah, maybe just to get on Wi-Fi if you're not on it next time. Definitely want to have a good internet connection available. So the other one isn't actually given. They're saying that if you go down by $170, so for example, 675 minus 170 is 505. 170 more people buy tickets, so that goes up by that amount there. And so the idea is that you can create these ordered pairs, X, Y's. So P is your X, so it's 675, comma 100. And the other one would be 505, comma 270. And then you could use that to determine the slope. So your slope is 270 minus 100 over 505 minus 675, 170 over minus 175, minus 170, which is -1.
Mhm.
And so that gives you your slope. And the only one of those that has the slope here is this one. So you can say, all right, I got it.
Okay.
All right. So I think we've done enough questions here, and I've asked you enough questions to kind of get a feel for what we're going to do here. So what I need from you as soon as possible is whether you want to do a Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday routine. Or I mean, really any other days, but give what your preference is, and then I'm going to put together a learning plan for you. Basically, what we're going to do over the next 4 weeks to better prepare you for the exam.
Okay. I think to start a Tuesday, Thursday would be a little easier.
Okay, is 1 o'clock okay for you, or would 3 o'clock be better?
I think 1 o'clock.
All right, well, let's do it for next week, and we'll see where we're at after that. So, and again, this doesn't count towards the 8 lessons. This is just a, complimentary. Let's see where you're at
Okay.
with some things. So don't take anything positive or negative away from today. Just, you did some math today, and that's
Mhm.
you can be glad that you did that in summer, because you're way ahead of most of your peers doing math over summer break. All right, well, I will send you the notes and the link to the screen recording here shortly, and I'll follow up with you by email, but I look forward to helping you next week.
Okay. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
You're welcome. Bye now.